But let's jump into today's session. Today we're doing BIM 360 for manufacturing. And we'll explain what BIM 360 is. I know that it might be a little bit foreign to a lot of the people in the design and manufacturing space if you don't necessarily work in that architecture, engineering, construction space per se. But those of us who are working in the mainly manufacturing space are manufacturing things that oftentimes go in buildings, which is where this workflow comes into play, right? Is how do I interact as a, say, manufacturer of industrial material or industrial machinery, for example? How do I interact with those people, those architects, those system integrators, so on and so forth, that need to put my equipment in their building? And this is where BIM 360 comes into play and some of the workflows that Jeff is going to share with you all. So if you have any questions, like I said, go ahead and type those in at any time. Jeff, do you have anything to add before we get started?
No, I think you covered it all, Nigel. That's perfect. I think we should just jump right into it. We've got a good amount to cover, and let's see if we can knock it all off.
Cool. Sounds good, Jeff. I'll pass it over to you.
All right, great. Thank you, Nigel. All right, Nigel, thank you for passing it over. So, yep, as Nigel did say, we are going to be talking about BIM 360 for manufacturing. So for today's agenda, just get into my PowerPoint, is why BIM 360 for manufacturing. Some of the benefits that you'll get utilizing BIM 360. And then we'll talk about several different workflows, little overviews within BIM 360. And to kind of start it off is creating an essential project within BIM 360 and inviting your team members, some of your colleagues within your project, or even outside consultants that you're dealing with, or stakeholders that are maybe a part of that BIM project that you're participating in. I'll then talk about how you can access some of this data within via Desktop Connector, which is a connector that you could download onto your computer that will act as another file sharing location that you can have within your Windows PC. And then we will talk about how this all can get connected within Inventor and Revit's new interoperability features within the 2021 versions of the software. I'll then end off with a question and answer at the end of the presentation and the workflow that we go through, and then several different resources that I do have that I would like to share with you that I will probably mention and bring up that from some previous ABAs that I have done in the past already. So why BIM 360 for manufacturing? Essentially, it's a link between manufacturing and AEC tools. As Nigel did say during the intro, you may be a manufacturer of equipment. Maybe it is air handling units. It could be various HVAC units. You could be a manufacturer for sliding doors, or even a window manufacturer, custom fabrication. So various model information that you may be creating within your Inventor models can then be utilized and then exported out into a native Revit file. So with this information in hand, if you have a lot of your models already created, you essentially could then go through the process of exporting these models out. That way you're providing some of your customers a true model that represents your manufacturing capabilities. So a lot of times, and I'll just go to my next slide. A lot of times, some of the benefits for BIM 360 is the ability to increase your efficiency and the reuse of some of these Inventor models. So like I did say, you may have various models that you have created. They're all 3D parametric models that you may have stored within your vault or even a local network drive location. You can theoretically use all these models information and provide them to your customers, giving them the ability to have these models and locate them directly into their BIM project or their Revit model, depending on if it's an architectural model or even some of your other disciplines like mechanical modeling that may need a real representation of an HVAC unit or air handling unit that they need to connect to or tie into within the building itself. So this is going to reduce some of the time and increase some of your accuracy as well. And really, it's going to reduce some of the design interruptions that you're going to get. So some of the collaboration talks that you'll have between these consultants, hey, can I have a cut sheet of this particular model? That does take a good amount of time and effort to kind of relay back and forth between the customer and yourself and what equipment or modeling information that you're providing to them. So being able to reuse this data that you may already be that you may already have kind of populated is going to be very beneficial and also increase your value as well. You could kind of be an outlier between some of your competitors as well, being able to provide Revit models or RFA families directly and allow you to kind of give you this 3D parametric model directly inside of the Revit project itself. So it's going to really help you kind of maintain a collaborative environment as well. Okay, so those are some of the key kind of benefits. So I'm really going to go into directly right into creating a BIM 360 project. And really, some of my customers haven't had the opportunity to create a BIM 360 project. And it's really going to start off with having a license of either BIM 360 Design or BIM 360 Docs. So you're going to have a license assigned to yourself. Okay. And once you have that license assigned to yourself, you can then go into your Autodesk account portal and then access your BIM 360 Design license. So I'll go to Access Now here, and it's going to essentially take you to your project hub here. Just wait for this to load. And in this case, I have my Autodesk BIM 360 KETIV project hub here. And I do see quite a few list of projects that I've already have kind of created here. And it's really going to start off with you adding a project to this list. So I'll start off and I'll give this project a name. I'll give this KETIV AVA. I'm sure I don't have one created. I could then associate this project with a type. And in this case, we'll go with a manufacturing factory. I could set this a status of a new construction or whether it's going to be a renovation. In this case, I'll just give it a new construction. I could give it an information as a project value. So we'll just go with $1 million for right now. And then additional information as the contract type. So we'll go with design to build here. And then a project start date, which is going to be very useful. And then an end date. And we'll just go 3 years from now. Should be good. Then you can give this information such as a project job number. So I'll go KETIV AVA 101. And then whether you have a business unit. And then you could also populate the project addresses. Where is this building going to be created at? I also like to give a project an image as well. So if you already have a pre-rendered image of the project, you can associate that image within here. And then give it the time zone. In this case, I'll just go with Pacific time. And then my project address. And then I'll click Save and Continue here. And now it's going to begin to create my project. Just wait for this to load. And now this is all cloud-based. So everything that we are doing is all associated within the BIM 360 cloud. Now that the project's been created, it's taking us to project services here. And there's 3 services that we're going to want to process and activate. The first one is your document management. And this is where you're going to really be able to utilize this for a resource for uploading and implementing any files that are related to the project, whether they are drawing sets, PDF packages, you could have cut sheet submittals on here. You have various amount of file types that you can upload into this folder. And this will kind of act as another FTP site or other collaborative tools that you're utilizing to share content amongst some of these stakeholders a part of your BIM 360 project. So we'll go through and activate these 3 modules here. And the first one is this document management, as I did state. Now, right here, it's giving me the ability to apply a project template. And the benefit of having a project template is you won't have to do the same setup between project to project as you create one. So since I am starting off fresh, I'm not going to use a project template. We're going to create one from scratch. But we're not going to apply a project template here. And each module is going to have an associated project admin with it. In this case, I'll be the project admin. So I'm going to be myself here, and I'll be okay with that. And then I'll activate this module here. Okay. And it's going to want me to confirm that if I want to activate it without a template, which is okay. And we'll just wait for this to process really quick, and it's going to say activating now. Taking a little bit of time. As that one's going, I'll proceed and activate my project management. So this is where you'll be able to manage several of your RFIs, any submittals that are going through progress, whether you're going through a DD phase or even some of your CD phases of your BIM project. You will be able to track all this through this project management section here. We'll activate this one as well. So I now see my document management went live. I got my green indicator here letting me know that it's active now. Same thing with my project management as well. It's giving me an indicator that it's now active. And then the last one is going to be your design collaboration. This is what's going to allow you to have a upload a collaborative Revit model directly into your BIM 360 project that you have here. Okay, so I've activated all three of these services. This Insight one was already activated for me automatically. Okay? And I'll speak on document management shortly, okay? But that's going to be the initial setup first. Now, after this, we can now go into our member section here. And this is where it's going to be important as a project admin for you to then go through and add in members that are going to be participating into your project, okay? And these members can be members within your own company or members within stakeholders a part of the project. So these could be outside consultants, whether they're your mechanical firms, your plumbing firms, some of your structural and engineering firms. You could have a firm specifically for providing the HVAC units as well. So you could essentially add all those associated reps to this project here. So I'll go through here and add a couple of members to my project. And I see myself as I'm here already. I'm going to associate myself with my company here, which is Katif, and then I'll give myself a role. And there is several predefined roles, and you have the ability to customize all these roles. Because again, this is trying to tackle all the BIM environment. So there may be roles in here that may not be really useful for yourself. So you could go through and remove some of those roles as well. In this case, I'll give myself the BIM manager role here. And with my BIM manager role here, I do have several different admin rights that I have the ability to kind of access. And right here, I do have the ability to access my project admin. I have admin rights to Insight. And again, I'll talk about some of these once we get there. I have admin rights to my document management portion here. And then I have admin rights as well to project management. And the last one should be my design collaboration. Okay. So let me add a couple members here. And since Nigel is on with me, I'll add Nigel on here. I'll add a couple of other of my colleagues as well, Adam Evangelista, and I'll add one more. We'll go with Nicole. Let's see if Nicole's on here. So I've added 3 different members here. I'll click select. Okay. Now with these members here, I can then define these members with their own associated roles. And notice how Nicole Morris, she's already being associated with a BIM manager. And she's with a BIM manager role, they have full admin rights to all these various modules that we have activated here. Whereas Adam Evangelista here, he's listed under a mechanical engineer. He doesn't have project admin rights, so he has no access to that or no access to the Insight as well. But he does have access to the document management portion here. So that's going to be very beneficial for a mechanical engineer to be able to navigate through the folder structure that you develop to upload and download various files that you're kind of participating within the project itself. He also has the role to be able to access the project management. He's a member of that, and then the design collaboration tools. Where Nigel here, I haven't defined Nigel with the role, so I could give him, and again, all these roles can kind of be tailored to your company's needs. I could give Nigel a role of a designer. And you can see that the designer has access to document management, has access to project management, but now I'm just going to deselect them from project management. As a designer, he may not need to really see that. He's really just going to want to navigate through the document management section and the design collaboration. And so I'm giving Nigel the ability to upload and append, not append, but upload his Revit model directly into the BIM 360 Cloud project we're creating here. Now that I have those three members in here, I'll click Add a Project. And then now back into my project admin section here, under my members, now I'm seeing a full list of the members that I've added. Once you add those members, it is going to require them to have a license for BIM 360. So for Nigel to be able to utilize his member roles here, which is again, document management and the design collaboration features here, Nigel would need a BIM 360 design license associated with his account. Now, once I've added these members are going to get an email from Autodesk saying that they have now been granted access to their BIM 360 project. It will take them to go and activate their account if they don't already have an Autodesk account already, and proceed to create an Autodesk account so that they can gain access to this project that we're creating here. Okay. So that's just really members there. Now that that's been associated, and you'll end up wanting to populate your full project members, whether this is just going to be an in-house team or if you are sharing this amongst other colleagues or other outside disciplines as well. From here, we can now go into selecting these little dots over here, this module right here. We can then go into and navigate into our document management section here. And this document management section is really going to be unique to your company and how you kind of want to structure, how you want participants to be able to upload files to. So in this case, we have a plan section here by default and a product files section here. For plan section, what I'm going to do is add some subfolders here. So I could give this a mechanical subfolder. So if I want my mechanical team to be able to upload data sets here, PDF sets, or drawings, I could give them the ability to upload it into a specific folder for their needs. I can then do the same thing for plumbing team. I'll make a couple other ones as well. I'll do structural. And then we'll do one more for art. Now, again, with these plans, really I'm giving the ability for these team members to be able to go and have their own dedicated folder so that they can begin to upload files to. I can then also create subfolders too. So if I want to split this up to PDF sets, I could give myself the ability to upload only PDFs to this subfolder under my architectural model, under my architectural folder here. I could add another subfolder for drawings, WGs maybe. And again, this is going to be really kind of based on how you want to uniquely create your folder structure here. Now that I've started to begin and dictate my plan section here, I can then go into my project files. And really what my project files is going to be useful for is giving myself the ability to upload my 3D Cloud collaborative models from Revit to it. So I'll call this Revit models. And then under Revit, I'll give it a subfolder, and I'll say Arch. And this is going to be for my architectural team to upload their cloud models to this folder. And then I could also create subfolders from here called MEP. So this could be my mechanical, my electrical, and plumbing team. And then also, I'll create a subfolder called Revit Families. And you'll see why we'll use this one momentarily. So now I've got my kind of my initial document management portion set up here. Now what I can now do is jump into Revit. I'll do that shortly. And I can jump into Revit and initiate my cloud model now. And this could be your architectural team, this could be a mechanical team, and the process will be pretty much the same for this. Okay. And what I'm going to want to do here, in this case, is I'm going to create a new 3D view. And with this 3D view here, I'm going to give this rename this 3D view, because what I'm going to essentially do is set up a view specifically for maybe a consultant team that strictly makes air handling units. Okay, so we'll call this air handling roof. And what I'm going to want to do with this is specifically set up an area in this building where the air handling unit is going to be at. Okay. And I'm just going to update this 3D view so that my air handling team can base their unit off of this roof space that I have here. So let me just update this. Something like this. This would be about fine. I'm going to pull this down a little bit more. So I'm going to position this so that potentially maybe an air handling unit could go here. Okay. And now that I have this 3D view saved, I'm just going to save this. So I have this as a possible selection so that when I bring this into Inventor, you'll see that I could then bring in the specific 3D view that I set up for my air handling team. I'll just go back into my 3D model here. And now I'm going to initiate the collaboration. And I'm going to initiate this within my BIM 360 document management. And we're just going to navigate to that project that I just created. It's my Cativa AVA. And I'm going to see that there's my project folder section here, and then my Revit, and my architectural folder. And I'll initiate this to the cloud from here. So right now it's going to end up processing this, and now it's going to end up uploading this to my BIM 360 project. I'll just let this go through, give it a couple minutes. Just wait for this to go through. Sometimes it takes a bit depending on the size of the model that you're dealing with. This one shouldn't take much longer though. And also what typically happens in the back end as well as this is beginning the process to get collaborated into the cloud itself, you'll also get an email letting yourself know that your model has been successfully uploaded to the cloud. It's almost done. It's just saving the model. And there we go. It says you have successfully initiated the collaboration for this model. So I'll click close now. And that's all been set up. And I'm just going to test to make sure that this went through. So I'm just going to click synchronize. And I'll click OK. And just to make sure that it's saving this and it's uploading it to the model, which it is. So now if we go back into our BIM 360 project itself, if I go back into Revit and Arch, I should see my model here, which it is there. Okay. Now, to utilize some of this information within your desktop, you're going to want to download the Autodesk Desktop Connector. Make sure to include a link for that so that you can download it. But if you just do a Google search for Autodesk Desktop Connector, you'll find it. I would recommend downloading that because what that does, it gives you a link between your computer and this BIM 360 cloud environment so that you can pull models in directly into your Inventor models itself. So that's what we'll do now. So now inside of Inventor, I'll go to Open. And I'm going to go to Open, and I'm going to find my BIM 360 project here, or my BIM 360 Desktop Connector. And I'm going to navigate to that same project. And this is going to require you to have Inventor 2021 installed. So we'll go to that same project, which is my Cativa AVA. Project files here, Revit, and then my Arch folder is where I placed it. And let's go to all files. And now I'm going to see my native Revit file here. I can now select Open here. It's going to take a little bit of process. It's going to download the latest version from BIM 360. And what it's doing now is, now that it's downloading this, what we're going to get prompted with is the AnyCAD functionality, where it's going to ask me what type of model I want to import this. And in this case, because I want these to be associative, I'm going to import it as a reference. So let me go back to here. We'll wait for this to finish loading. And essentially what it's going to give me is a list of views that I can select from to bring into Inventor. Now I did set up a view, and I set up the view as my air handling roof. So I could now select that view here. And I can get a, it essentially showed me a preview of how many elements are visible within this view. So again, Revit models are very large models. So I would recommend that if you don't have Revit, you reach out to some of these customers that you're dealing with, or some of these other outside consultants or stakeholders, so that they can tailor and create a 3D view that is specific for your needs. So in this case, I am an air handler detailer. I'll select that air handling roof, and I'll click OK. And it's going to tell me that there is 711 elements. So it's a pretty big model. I'll just click OK. I'm just going to translate this. Almost done. And switch back to Revit. So let me just go back into Inventor. And there we go. Here's that 3D view that we set up specifically for our needs here. Okay. So if I was for instance, a blower assembly manufacturer, I can then use my assembly here and place this assembly into this Revit model to see if it's not going to have any interference within any portions of the building or wherever this unit may be kind of relied on within the building itself. Okay. So the next thing is I could see that I could bring in this Revit model here. I could now place in, for instance, that blower assembly in here and locate it if I need to. But what's going to really be beneficial is if you have several of these blower units already kind of configured, you can then go through the BIM content export, and I will make sure that I do have a resource of doing this in a previous AVA, but make sure that I show you the link for that so that way you could understand how we can execute a proper BIM content export so that we can create RFA files. Because essentially, what you want to do is go through the BIM content export. And in this case, I could be a sliding door manufacturer, which is a sliding door model that I've created here. I've gone through the process already of creating a RFA file of this. Okay. So essentially, with utilizing Desktop Connector now, and we're going to just make sure in my folder here that I have my RFA file there, and it should be under my documents, Inventor. I do have my sliding door RFA that I've already gone through the BIM content exporting process here. I can now select this file, and I'm going to do this through Windows Explorer so you can see the process of doing this. Let me just minimize this a little bit. And we'll go to that same project here. It's my documents, Inventor, here. Now, having the sliding door, once you've gone through the process of extracting your BIM content and creating your RFA file, I can now utilize the Desktop Connector and bring this directly into my BIM 360 project. Okay, so we'll create a new folder, I'm going to need a new window for this. And in this case here, I'm going to go to that same project that we've created, and this is going to be a Cative AVA under my project files. And then Revit. I created this folder here. It's my Revit families. So essentially now, if I go into where I've created that RFA family, I can now simply drag this into that folder. Okay. And what you're seeing, what you didn't see on my main screen is that Desktop Connector processed this and it synced this now within the BIM 360 project. So now I can see that RFA file now exists at this location. And what I'm going to do here is just go back into my BIM 360 project hub here and just make sure that I do see that family here. And I do see it. It's my sliding door RFA family. Now that that's been created and synchronized within the project, the architectural team inside of Revit can now utilize this RFA family that I've created for them. And I'm going to go through the process of inserting that now. So now I can go to Insert, load this family here, I am going to load that sliding door RFA family, and I'm going to make sure it's in the same project. That's a different one. Revit family, and there's that sliding door. So I'll click open now. And now that family has been loaded into the project. Now we could go through our family section inside of Revit, and it should be under my generic models, and I do see sliding door here. I should now be able to bring this into my project and utilize this. Oops, let me just create a 3D view for that. Let's get a new 3D view so you can see that. There it is. Here's my sliding door that I've created, and this is directly from Inventor. I'll put it shaded so we can see a little bit better. But now the architect can now use this sliding door based on your manufacturing tolerances, based on your design, and use this and place it directly into my architectural model for using here. Okay. And that's just a quick kind of overview of creating a BIM 360 project, how you can then invite your team members to your BIM 360 project within there, have them all be able to collaborate. Essentially, then you could then bring in your Revit model into Inventor, use the Revit model so that you can base your designs around. So whether it's a custom staircase or even some of these custom manufacturers for sliding doors, you could create those and then export those out within the BIM content inside of Inventor and generate a true RFA file that represents your model. You can then also, whether if you're like in this case where I showed you I had a blower inside of Inventor, I could also go through a shrink wrap processes as well as if I didn't want to share any of my internals of my motors or my pumps as well. I can go through and remove all those internals or remove some of the details that really isn't going to be typically needed inside of Revit just to locate some of these equipment. Okay. And then that's pretty much it that I had for the demo. I'm just kind of give you an overview of creating a BIM 360 project, how you can leverage the BIM 360 project via desktop connector and access some of your data, and then going and exporting out some of your Inventor models and then utilizing desktop connector so that your architectural team or anyone else can then bring those RFA findings directly into their models for locations and placements as well. Okay. I'll just jump back into my PowerPoint really quick. Question and answers. Do we have any questions and answers, Nigel? And I did have a poll too, so there's going to be a couple different questions for the poll as well. Not sure if anyone's seen that.
Jeff, can you hear me okay?
Yep, I can hear you now. There
Okay, perfect. My microphone was set to something else, so weird. So yeah, I just put this poll up just to get an idea of what everybody's doing from this standpoint, and hopefully, you know, maybe there's some people who want to start utilizing some of the other functionality that's available as well. So I'll go ahead and end that real quick. It looks like the vast majority of the people are relying on emails, FTP sites, or other ways to collaborate with their stakeholders. So just some information from that. And what I'm going to do right now is there's a second poll question I'm going to put up here as well. Just before we get into Q&A, and I'll let everyone get a little bit more time to type in any questions that they do have as well. Second one, would you be interested in a second session based around customizing BIM 360 doc management? There is a lot of intricacies within the BIM 360 environment. If that's something you're interested in, we definitely want to know because then we can.
And that's really, I'll pull this up again too. And that's really customizing this for your specific needs as well. So again, this is going to be completely dependent to your needs, how you want to create your folder structures, how you want to set some of your permission levels for these folders as well. So that's something I didn't quite highlight yet, just because it is quite a bit. But you can definitely set permissions for all these folders as well, and some of even your project files as well. So how you want users to be able to access data, you could set up all your permissions at a particular level, or even a associate permissions with a company that you're dealing with as well.
Absolutely. Thanks again, Jeff. So let me go ahead and end that polling. So it looks like, yeah, there's no one said no. So, hey, we'll take it. So let's jump into Q&A. Looks like we have a couple of questions. The first one, is the desktop connector free?
Yes, it is free. So if everyone can see my screen still, I'll just do a search for Autodesk Desktop Connector. And it should be this very first one right here. Oh, of course I didn't find it. We'll try this one right here. Should be this. So we should be able to just download it. So you could click download and install. And then I'll install the desktop connector, or download it, and then I'll give you that ability to access your projects specifically within, you know, your Windows folder structure here.
And then while you're at it, Jeff, can you re-explain what the desktop connector does for you?
Yep, so the desktop connector gives you a connection from your computer to your cloud projects. You could, again, in my case, I had several different cloud projects that I've created under my Kativ Hub here. It gives me the ability to access any information within the cloud projects inside of your document management portion here. So if you needed to access any of your drawings or PDF submittals, and you don't really need to access the hub within the internet itself, you could access all that information within the desktop connector. And mine's BIM 360 right here. And then we'll see all your projects, and you could access all the information there.
Yep, essentially what it does is it syncs what's on the cloud to a folder local on your machine, or theoretically local on your machine. And it just keeps that sync alive so that you don't have to navigate to the online website, grab stuff, put stuff back, stuff like that. You can do it all from the context of your own, effectively PC or Mac, I guess, for using that. Hopefully that answered that question for you. I'll give everyone another 30 seconds or so to answer any more questions that you do have.
Let me go back into the PowerPoint too. I do want to bring up that resource page as well that I didn't mention. So I did recently, I think a couple months ago, we highlighted Revit and Inventor's new interoperability features within 2021. So if you want to see a little bit more of that, I know I kind of touched on bringing in a Revit model into Inventor and how you can kind of utilize some of that project information. If you want to review that video, you can, and then get a little bit more insight on that process as well. And then also, we do have a, Jessica, if you can link everyone the BIM 360 design workflows as well that we do have, which will also be very beneficial if you want some further information on BIM 360 design. I would definitely recommend taking a look at that video as well.
Absolutely. And then let me go ahead and do this real quick. So Carl, you mentioned you're currently looking for cloud options to replace their current network. You're using scripts to copy templates and standards from the network to each machine locally. Can this platform do the same using the desktop connector? Would it be possible for AutoCAD as well? So there are ways to go ahead and do this that are cloud related and cloud based. Carl, go ahead and reach out to us. Send us an email at questions@kativ.com, and we can kind of elaborate a little bit for you. Based on exactly what you're trying to accomplish, we'll determine like what solutions we suggest. So definitely reach out to us, and we'll go ahead and get you that information.
Yep.
The short answer to that, though, is yeah, there's ways to do that. Is it essential to first create desktop connector folders on the local machine? So no. So once you download it, it creates the folder on your local machine. Once you log in, it'll connect to whatever hubs you're connected to and assigned to on the internet, and then all those folders come down.
Yep. Now again, just kind of keep in mind is you're only going to see projects that you're invited to within your desktop connector. So it is going to require you to have an invite. Whether you're the host of the project or not, or an architect is inviting you to participate to the project, it is going to require you to have an invitation to access any data within there. And again, it could be limited to what you can see there by your permissions set within that project.
Yep, absolutely. So hopefully that answers a lot of those questions for everybody. Let's see if there's any more that came through. Looks like we should be okay, Jeff.
Again, if you want to see more of this, just let us know, and we could definitely create some more topics for this.
Absolutely. Thanks again, Jeff, for joining us. Thanks again, everybody, for joining us today. And we'll talk to you all soon. Take it easy. Have a great Thursday. Bye.
I thank everyone. Bye.